In this video, I'm going to answer common questions about the USMLE and tell you how to study for it. Hi, I'm Nadine Evans from BeMo Academic Consulting. Before we dive in, subscribe on whatever social media channel you're watching this from. That way you won't miss any of our upcoming videos. If you want us to help you with your residency application, click the link either above or below this video to schedule your free initial consultation. The USMLE stands for the United States Medical Licensing Examination. It was created to ensure that all licensed MDs pass the same assessment standards to be eligible to practice in the US, regardless of which school or country the student trained in. The USMLE is comprised of a Step 1, Step 2 clinical skills, Step 2 clinical knowledge, and a Step 3. As you complete each step, you'll be one step closer to obtaining a license to practicing medicine in the US. The Step 1 is a one-day, web-based, multiple-choice examination. There are 7 60-minute blocks for a total testing session of 8 hours. While the number of questions in a block may vary, they cannot exceed 40. The same variation exists in the total number of items on the exam, but it can't exceed 280. The exam tests students on their basic science knowledge. A large portion of the questions require the examinee to interpret graphics or tables or to identify macro and micro pathologic and normal specimens to solve problems. The test is normally taken by students at the end of their second year of medical school, and the results are usually available 3 to 4 weeks after the test date. You have to receive a 194, the minimum acceptable score to pass. So how should you study for the test? Follow these steps in order to succeed. Firstly, don't cram. This exam is one of the most important exams of your medical career. It will help determine if you'll be interviewed for the specialty that you're hoping to pursue. The reality is, some programs don't extend interview invitations to students whose scores fall below a certain threshold. Maybe cramming has worked for you on previous tests, but this 8-hour test is very challenging and requires a ton of studying. Ideally, as soon as you start medical school, you should be studying and reviewing during your summer and winter breaks. Your career will be as a physician, so the old practice of studying last minute, not retaining anything, and throwing out your books afterwards is not going to work. And hopefully, if you've got this far in your career, you already know that. Find resources that suit your learning style. Most students require review materials and practice materials in order to improve their knowledge and familiarity with testing content. You can find some of these exam preparation resources on the USMLE website. There are a variety of guides, peer study groups, and review courses available. There's no set formula to know what will work best for you, but you should have a good idea of what type of learning style works for you, so be sure to use the resources that will best suit you. Set a designated amount of time for final reviews. Hopefully you've been studying from the start of medical school and have been reviewing what you learned over your school breaks. In addition, you also need to set a significant amount of time for final reviews. Most students like to set aside a minimum of 3 months for dedicated study. This means 6 to 8 hours a day, 5 to 6 times a week. The next tip is to set a specific study schedule. In the very beginning, it's a good idea to spend the majority of your time reading and only spend a small amount of time on practice questions. You need to first build up your knowledge and familiarize yourself with concepts before you can begin taking on practice questions. As you progress through your study schedule and are closer to the end, you should be spending the majority of your time going through the practice and only spend a small amount of your time on reading and reviewing in order to help you overcome questions that you answered incorrectly or any areas that you feel you could improve. Make sure you set aside some time to run through a full 8-hour practice test. This way you can work on your pacing, focus, and concentration required to take the actual entire test. Practice with sample questions. Sample questions will be one of your best resources for not only familiarizing yourself with the format of the test, but it's also one of the best ways to simulate what the actual test will be like. It will allow you to get a read on what content you're doing well on, which areas you need to improve on. Take as many practice tests as you can. Take breaks. Yes, you're going to have a full-time job studying during the period you've set aside, but studying past 8 hours will likely lead to mental fatigue. Not only will you feel burnt out, you also won't see a return on investment for all those hours you've put in, because your brain won't be able to process and retain all that information. So make sure you're taking breaks. Well, thanks for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment if you have any questions. If you want us to help you with your residency application, click on the link either above or below this video to book your free initial consultation. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.